essence of God in us may think we are what we think ourselves to be. But when the trial comes, and in every life, there's a trial.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't care how faithful you think you may be to God. None of us is so faithful that He shouldn't try us. And there's another section of the Quran that says that trials purify.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because when God puts you in a trial that manifests weakness or strength, if it manifests weakness, it allows us to purify our condition. I'm saying that every one of us who are in public service, every one of us who holds some kind of office, that is a trial for you. It is an honor for you, but it is a trial for you and for me. The question is, are you what you think yourself to be? Or will something come up in your administrative life that will show that you're not what you thought yourself to be, and then you and I have to purify in order to become what we thought we really are.
Yes, sir.
My
Yes, sir.
life near-death experience manifested for me the certainty of my devotion to God. My daughter, who is a nurse and really probably is more responsible for my being here than my doctors, because when I was 3 minutes away from death, she is the one that gave the right instruction with force that was carried out that allowed me to be present with you today. But while I was bleeding from this ulcer created by an exceedingly large dose of radiation, because the cancer had escaped the prostate capsule and was now in danger of getting into the lymph nodes and then through the whole system, which would have made it very, very, very difficult for me to make it. But God knows best.
Amen.
So my doctors were so frightened, you know, they gave me a very large dose of radiation, 238 radiated seeds directly in the area of the prostate, put in, you know, by computer and whatnot. Right after that, I went on a 37-country tour. I never missed a beat. And I came back still working. And finally, I began bleeding from the rectum. And I didn't know what that was, so I went to a doctor, and he gave me what is called a colonoscopy. But the friable tissue in that area was not able to withstand that, even though they never saw anything, a break, but they knew the tissue was friable. But I believe that probe sort of weakened it even more, and then a small ulcer developed. My not knowing that there was an ulcer, bleeding began, and then the ulcer grew and grew and grew and grew until it became about 8 centimeters long and 2.5 centimeters wide, and then it ruptured. And I was in excruciating pain. In fact, the doctors didn't know how in the world I could function with an ulcer that large in that area and still continue to do my work. I don't know either, except by the power of God. But needless to say, when I was in excruciating pain, I cried out to God. But I cried out not asking for relief, but thanking Him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What kind of madness is this? That you are in excruciating pain and you thank him for what he's bringing into your life.
All right now.
And I thanked him for what I was going through. My daughter was telling me this about a month after my operation and whatnot, and I was trying to recover. In the presence of my lawyer, she was telling me what I was saying. And as she finished, I began to weep. And I never explained to the lawyer or to my daughter at that moment why I was weeping. But when she said that, I cried out thanking him for the pain and thanking him for what he had brought or allowed to be brought into my life. Thanking him for allowing me to come to birth and to behold the majesty of his creation. I never asked him to keep me alive. I just said, if it is your will that I leave, then I thank you for allowing me to serve. Now, when my daughter told me my words, the tears that came from my eyes were tears that said, I always thought I believed in God. Because all of us who preach, you know, we believe, we believe. And all of us who preach,
All right now.
we think that we put our complete trust in God. And that no matter what he brings into our life, we believe that he is God and he is good. So whatever misfortune comes into our life, we withstand it because we know he is good and because we believe that whatever he brings, no matter how much discomfort it brings us, we know that if we go through it with the right attitude, we will come out of it a stronger and a better human being. So my tears were joy because I was certain now that I truly believe. I was certain that I trusted him as the patron of my life.
All right now.
And I was certain that my life was in his hands and that death and life is his. And whenever it pleases him to call me in, I will be pleased to go and thank him for the time that he gave me, that I could serve a cause bigger than I am. And the cause of freedom and justice and equity and truth is bigger than all of our lives. And when we serve that cause, we never die. That is why Jesus is eternal. That is why it is written in the Quran, speak not of those who die or are slain in the way of God as dead. They are alive, but you understand not. The grave can never hold men and women of God who serve a cause bigger than their vanities. Okay? So I thought I would just stop. Now, of course, my reason for being here is to talk about the Million Family March. You all are familiar with the Million Man March. I don't have to talk about that. That is history. But it is a miraculous thing that God did, the good of which is still coming to us. You should know, as men of God and women of God, that I, as an individual, could not make a call like that and it be answered except God was in the call. I remember reading Brother Imam in the Quran about Abraham And one of the signs that God gave him of the resurrection of the dead